Hello, well done. You've made it to part 2. If you're just stumbling in, what we're doing here is trying to recreate this house in Revit and adding a structural frame to it with an educated guess. If you're looking for part 1, there's a link to it in the description below.
drawtechnic.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
If you're wondering how I made this model look so cool, it looks pretty nice. I turned on shadows from down here, and in the graphic display options, in the shadow section, I turned on show ambient shadows. So that's why it looks so nice. Okay, now what we want to do here is, in part 2, I want to add floor joists in each of the rooms and then add a ground on top of it so that the ground is elevated from the soil and it won't sink through these holes, so that we can actually walk on it. And I'm going to do the upper level as well and try to get it up to the roof in part 2. So go into level 1, or rather go into substructure, and we're gonna add the floor joists. But before we do that, we need to go into the insert tab and load a family, because we need to load the structural components. So go down to structural framing, wood or concrete, whatever you want to do. Let's see here. I think we'll do this one here, glulam 2. Looks quite large. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, now go into the structure tab and select beam system. And we're gonna use this line click tool here, pick lines, and add it just like this. Now we have to bound it within this room because we're creating it one room at a time. So use the trim extend tool to trim everything to the room. Okay, everything's trimmed in the room. Now what are these 3 lines here? This is the beam direction. So if we leave it on this line here, that means all the beams will go up and down. But I would rather they go across like this. So take the beam direction and click on a horizontal line. Now I want to set the parameters for these floor joists, and I want them at a fixed distance of, by the way, if you click here you can choose to have it fixed number or fixed distance, and I want them at a fixed distance of 250. I think that should be okay. And hit OK. Now let's see how that looks in 3D. Now the problem here is that they're set into the foundations here, but I want them to sit on top of the foundations to elevate the ground from the floor. It will still be elevated from the floor, but I want to elevate it a bit higher. I don't want the floor joist to touch the soil on the ground to protect them from rot and all that stuff. So what we have to do is go into substructure We're just gonna draw the rest of these just to get them done. Structure, beam system, and I want the beam direction to go down on this one, and same for the others. Structure, beam system. I'm just gonna speed this part up. Okay, now I want to draw a section in this part of the room so we can see how the joists look and we can move them accordingly. Right click the section and hit go to view, and just change what you need to down here so you can see a bit clearly. Okay, now I want these joists to be higher, and maybe they can be a bit shorter as well. Let's see what options we have here. I'm gonna change the parameters myself, so I'd like it to be about this high. $200. Let's just leave them as they are. Actually, for the sake of this tutorial, let's change them. So I want to change that to 200 high. Edit type, duplicate. $79 by 200. Maybe 79 is a bit too thick. It's safer that way. Okay, now select all of these in the entire project. I said select all of these in the entire project because there's only one of them. I mean select these, all of these in the entire project, and change it to 79 by 200, and also unpin them all as well. Now we want them to go a little bit higher so it sits on the foundation and is level with the substructure here. So with all of the joists selected, let's just select it again just to be sure, and we can raise the offset value here to 200. That will raise all of the joists by 200. Now they're sitting on the foundation, just like I wanted them to. Going back into substructure, I want to get rid of all these. Right click, select all, visible in view, delete. Okay, now I want to see the foundations as well, so I'm gonna edit the view range and make it the view depth minus 50. See, now we can see the foundations that are underneath, and I want to create a grid here to turn this into like a floor cassette. So I take a beam tool, select this one, and don't forget to change the offset value and draw a line down. Let's just check it in section to make sure everything is okay. Yeah, everything's okay. It's sitting on the foundation. Back into substructure and copy this over by holding Control and dragging it over. Now this is what we do. I'm gonna copy this over to the top. And I'm moving this over to the very left. It might be easier to see all this in color. Okay. Now I want these joists to be touching this on its face. So I trim it back here and then trim that one to there. That's supposed to be dragged up. Sometimes Revit doesn't cooperate. You have to make your own little plan. Okay, now we can drag it over there or trim it. Revit's not being friendly today. You can use the align tool to make this a little bit faster. Pull this back. We are creating a floor cassette right now. Almost a floor cassette. Trim. I'm going to copy this over because I just moved the other one. So it's at a fixed distance of 250. Okay, that's great. Now I want to move this one here. Align tool, click the line and select that. And then this is going to stop around about here. Now we want to add another joist here. Copy up to here. Now let's see what would be the best design here. Let's pull this back and see. It would be ideal for this to sit flush against this, so I'm gonna drag this down. And I like everything to be perfect, so okay, I'm gonna speed this part up. I'm just drawing a line here because for some reason this is not sitting exactly there. It doesn't really matter, but I want it to. Part of being an architectural professional is being a perfectionist. This is gonna sting me throughout the whole video. Alright, I'm just gonna leave it like that. I want to copy this one over. At least one good thing is that these automatically get pulled back. Yep, that's all good. Now, here's something to keep in mind. In practice, you'd have a 2 mm tolerance gap between the joists and the wall, so they can fit it in a little bit easy without it sticking. If they were dropping it in with a crane, and it was exactly as the dimensions are for this room, then it wouldn't go down so easily unless everything was perfect. So the 2mm tolerance gap is there to allow it to sit in place. We don't have enough space here for another joist, so we can either do this, which is move this joist down, or we can just trim it up to here and it should be fine to go all the way down there. I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to trim it up to here, and that should be fine. Now I want to drag this joist again and copy it over here and trim it up to the face of the joist. Revit being difficult. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm going to do the same for the rest of the rooms, and that means I'm going to speed this part up. Okay, okay, that's the joist done. Now you've probably noticed that this door is going to clash with the joists. Let's just have a look in 3D. Okay, it won't clash with the joists, but if we add a floor in here, this door won't be able to open onto the floor. We can sort that problem out. So let's just add the floor first. So go to ground floor, save project, wait longer. Okay, let's just hide this for now. EH to get rid of that for now. And if you want it back, it's just in this little light bulb here. It's there. Just click it and then click here and hide element. Let's see. Click on the floor in the architecture tab. I'm just gonna click floor. Ground floor. Looks good enough to me. Yeah, it looks good enough to me. And just do the same here. This one's gonna be a bit quicker. It's gonna be instant. It's probably best to match this direction here with the beam direction. Okay. I'm gonna say no because I don't want the walls that go up to this floor's level to attach to its bottom. That might mess up my model. Now I want to bring that section back and have a look. To see how this sits here. Go to view. And this is gonna need raising. And it's a pretty high wall, or floor rather. Use the align tool to select the top of a joist and the bottom of the floor, and it will sit in there nicely. This ground is too big. Let's try this one. Yeah, that one's probably better. Alright, we'll just stick with this for now because it's a ground floor. Let's see that in 3D. Now that's really nice. Let's have a look in the section. Beautiful. You will not fall into the soil if you stand here. I'm going to do the same for the rest of the rooms. As you can see, this gets tedious. But when you're doing something in Revit, you just press on. And that's how you get most of your jobs done. Okay, we have added the ground to this model. I think we'll leave it at that for now, as for part 2. This will probably be a 4-part series. So in the next part we're gonna do the same thing for the upper floor, except it's gonna be quicker, and we're gonna add a ceiling to the bottom of the joist of the upper floor and add windows and everything to it up to the point where we create these pitches, and then in the next part after that we'll do the roof structure.
You've been watching DrawTechnic.com. Remember to like and subscribe.